welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it's your first time here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Erin and I am talking about my sewing space, sewing nook, sewing corner. It's a space with many names, but it is the corner of my bedroom that is devoted to sewing. If you enjoy this video, I hope you hit the like button, and if you are not a subscriber, I hope you consider subscribing. Leave a comment down below what aspects of this space you like, what you think I could be doing better, and then tell me a little bit about your sewing space. I know it runs the gamut. Some people have beautiful sewing studios that they have been able to craft and design exactly for them, like Grace from So Lovely with Grace. If you haven't seen her sewing studio tour, it's 2 parts. It's amazing. Check it out. You can tell how much love and energy has gone into that place. And then sometimes you have to sew on your dining room table. That is where I was prior to setting up here. Our house is pretty big, but it is terribly laid out in terms of space. There is just a lot of dead space. So we have 2 secondary bedrooms, but one is for our daughter and the other is a guest bedroom. And there is not any extra space in that guest bedroom. It is basically a queen bed and a dresser squeaked into there, and that's it. It's pretty small. And then other than that, it's a giant open plan living space. And then our bedroom, our primary suite, which is, I think, excessively large, which is, like I said, why I ended up in here. I was sewing in the dining room, kind of on half of the dining room table in the back half of the room, but I didn't like having my stuff out there in our living space. It just kind of made it feel cluttered, made it feel busy, and it didn't have a great flow to it because I was working on the end of the dining room table. I had an ironing board behind me. I had drawers to the side. My cutting mat was on the other side of my sewing machine. So there just really wasn't good flow in there. And so I decided to move into our bedroom. I'm in a corner. I don't love this space being multifunctional, mostly because anyone that cares a lick about sleep hygiene will tell you that your bedroom should only be for sleeping. But it's just kind of how I had to make the space work, which is what I want to show in this video, which is that sometimes you just have to work with the space you have. And ultimately, I like being in this area. There is enough floor space for my daughter to play if she's in here with me. It doesn't get in the way of getting dressed or anything like that. So it's a pretty good solution. We are moving soon, which is kind of why I'm doing this now. But we are moving soon and I will have my own sewing room there. So that's gonna be a whole nother video in probably a couple months of how I have set up an actual sewing room. I showed it in my last Friday Sews, the empty room. I showed it in my last Friday Sews. So if you want to take a look at that video and give me any ideas you have for setting up that space, I would very much appreciate it, especially once you take a look at kind of the pieces I'm using in here that I'll probably continue to use. One of the main things that makes the space work is that I don't have much. It's relative, right? To some people, I have more fabric than them. To others, I have a lot less. Same goes for patterns, notions, projects, you name it. So that is something to consider if you are working in a small space, is to really be either very clever about how you store things or be pretty particular about what you're bringing in versus what you are putting out. Once I move into a sewing room, I will probably pick up more things because I will have, not because I want to fill the space necessarily, because I will have the space for them. But then if I end up in a smaller space again in the future, I might regret it. So we'll see. Anyway, now I'm gonna go ahead and put in the footage of this space. I walk through kind of where I store things, how it's laid out. You can generally see the flow of it. Everything is much more organized now, which is great. Welcome to our absolute ballroom of a bedroom. As you can see, this is a king-size bed, has tons of space, and we still have a lot of excess space. So as I talked about, that's why I ended up putting my sewing area into our bedroom. Here it is pretty much all in the corner. My fabric is stored separately, so let me go ahead and show you where that is. Coming into our bathroom from the primary bedroom, this is my fabric storage. This is a very large linen closet, and we actually have another linen closet and a walk-in closet. As I've said, this house just, to me, is kind of weirdly laid out and has not a great use of space. This is an extra large linen closet, and I have 3 shelves of fabric, and then I have down here is a basket with some miscellaneous things, and then a storage tote with some miscellaneous, as well as a big bag of batting. I have it divided into a way that makes sense for me right now. Hopefully in my new sewing room, I can do it a little differently, but honestly, I can see it all and it is all accessible. And I have projects in mind for everything I've bought, pretty much. So when I am ready to make a project, I kind of already know what I want to use, and I just have to find it in here. And like I said, it is organized in a way that makes sense to me. Over here, this is a cheap Amazon dress I was going to donate, but Brady's really obsessed with it, so I'm gonna hold on to it and probably make her an outfit out of it in the future. I have some pillows to recover, some interfacing, things like that, just in this random basket. Over here we have actual linens, sheets, all that kind of stuff, and then up here I have some water or painting stuff. I have watercolor and acrylics because I just don't really pull those out much these days. Hopefully in our next house, and as Brady gets a little older and I can really sit down and work on something like that. For the actual sewing space, I'm going to start here in my cutting area. This is one of the things that I'm really looking forward to in my sewing room when we move, is having a table that actually fits the entire cutting mat. When I cut large pieces and I'm cutting a pattern out, I do put it down on the floor, obviously so I can have the whole space and so I can trace it all out, have a flat surface to hold all the fabric and stuff like that. But it works. It doesn't really get in our way too much, but it's just a little annoying. Going back, I would probably have picked a smaller cutting mat, but when I bought this, I was sewing on the dining room table and I had a lot more space, but I was in the way more. Over here, I have the coasters that I use as pattern weights. I've just accumulated over the years. And then these are clips, pins. These float between here and the machine a lot. I have my rulers, tracing paper, and then paper scissors, fabric scissors, my rotary cutter, mini rotary cutter, and then these little pieces of paper I've used before when I cut out quilt pieces and want to keep them labeled. So I just kind of repurpose them for quilt pieces and pattern pieces and stuff. I will write what the number or letter is and then clip it on to kind of keep track. Extra blades for my rotary cutter. I keep sticky notes here. They also float around a lot because on my patterns, as I run into issues or as I change things, I make notes and then stick them on the instructions. So when I pull it out next time, I can remember. I also include like the size, what I made it out of, etc. So I just do it with sticky notes on the pattern and not a notebook. I might switch in the future, but right now I like keeping it with the pattern that I worked on instead of having to. Here is a cart from IKEA with the top. This used to live in our living room. It had breastfeeding and diaper supplies when Brady was younger. So then after she got older and we didn't have to change her diaper every 5 seconds, it kind of just floated out there for a while. And recently I decided to repurpose it for in here. It doesn't have a great home right now. It just kind of floats around. It's nice when I film a video, I can pull it out and set my camera on it with the sewing machine and everything behind me. So it is useful for that. I can also put my water bottle and baby monitor on it. The top is nice. Right now up here, I am keeping Friday Sews things. So things I want to remember to talk about in Friday Sews because I'm super bad about forgetting what I want to talk about. So hopefully keeping things a little contained in there will give me reminders. This is current quilting projects. I need to sew this binding down still. It's from months ago. And then this is a quilt that I'm going to get back into working on. And then this would be current garment, but it's sitting out right now. Then I have this 9-cube organizer. Is probably from Target or something at some point. And I have my patterns in 2 of these bins. These are me patterns. And then these are Brady Adam miscellaneous patterns that fit in there right now. This is miscellaneous stuff that was stored in the cube organizer before I pulled it into here, and I've been too lazy to find homes for this stuff. These are cut projects. Here I have some soup cozies I'm working on for our Etsy shop that I just need to work on. This is the completed quilt that obviously goes with the other one, so it's almost done. I just need to bury threads and wash it once I get the other one done. It's just kind of chilling there. These are things that need adjustments or alterations. 2 of them are dresses for my mother-in-law that I need to get to altering. Here in the center, I have things I am collecting to send people. The top is from my mom and my sister. And then this one right now is the box I'm putting together for my friend who wants to start sewing. So I just have things there and I can throw them in there and add to it as I find them, because if I put it in a drawer or in a cabinet somewhere, I will 100% forget that I have collected these things. This is kind of Brady's little section. She comes over and can pull out paper and stuff while she is in here with me, and we share the washable markers. Okay, Brady woke up from her nap and she is behind me playing with some toys, so if you hear any jingles or blocks, that's her. Moving into the desk area, I have a small ironing board from IKEA here if I need to press anything on a raised surface. If not, I have a quilt and press on the press side up there with my very old iron. Here I have my sewing machine manual and some books, a tin that I use for ongoing quilting projects that is empty right now. I have some graph paper, a small cutting mat. I don't know why that ended up over here, but that is there. Then down here, I did manage to kind of squeeze in my printer and my paper cutter because I am making some, or I've been making some more PDF patterns. So I've been having to print those out and put them together. I don't love it, but they're free patterns, so it's kind of worth it. Down here, I also have my old sewing machine. I try to pull it out occasionally just to keep using it, keep making sure it works. But most of the time it does live down there in its cover. Oh, I also have this glamorous trash bag. I need to just get a trash can to stick under there, but the trash bag works and I barely ever have to take it out. So that's kind of nice. So here is the quilter's cut and press. And then my broken iron. I have an iron with the tip intact, but it does not get as hot and does not press as well. So I just have to be really careful when using this. I dropped it at some point and the tip broke off. I would like to replace it with the exact same one. I think it's literally only like $20, so I don't know why I haven't done it. But this is a great iron in terms of getting hot and pressing things really well. I made the mistake for a while of storing it leaning against something. So I don't really trust the cutting side as much anymore because of the very obvious bow in it, but the pressing side still works great. So my stained quilt and press with my broken iron get the job done really well. Over here I have this tray from my mom. I use it as kind of a catch-all for needles, pins, random bits I find around that I don't want Brady to get into. This is a phone holder from IKEA so that I can set my phone there and watch YouTube or Netflix or whatever while I'm sewing. And then this nifty holder, I'll have to look up what it's called. It was a gift from my sister, but it is super useful for holding all manner of marking tools and notions and things in there. Here is my machine, my FOF Ambition 620. I recently did the sewing machine must-haves tag that was started by Michelle Sews Again, and I talk all about the machine in that video, so I will be sure to link it above in the description so that you can check it out if you are interested in my amazing FOF. This is a little mat that I sewed for under my machine when I was sewing on the dining room table, and I have just kept it because it's super convenient. I don't use all of the pockets, but I use most of them. This one has little cleaning brushes. These are super good for cleaning like the bobbin area and everything. I have my screwdriver, my little humper jumper needle holder. You can see that it's seen some things. I accidentally sewed into it at one point, but it helps you get over like really thick seams, or if you need to start a thick pile of fabric, you can stick this behind the foot and it helps you get going. And then this little section here is great for changing needles. And then this guide, which came with my machine, you stick it into a hole in the back of the foot area, and then you can set it to whatever distance you want, and it helps you maintain that steady distance. So if you want to quilt lines, you know, an inch apart, you can set it an inch out and then just follow along the last line you quilted. So that's pretty nifty. I've used it on my mom's machine before. This is different feet. There's probably a better, safer way to store them, but they are in there, especially when I'm switching out like to zipper foot, to one of the different feet for the machine, things like that. It's nice to have them right there. And then this is thread cuttings. Snippings go in there. Here is kind of where most of my notions live. Up here, I just have some water in a spray bottle, starch, basting spray, and some end dust that I use to help defluff my machine. More Post-it notes, because apparently I decided they need to live there. Up here, I have interfacing and things like that that are in packages. Some heat bond, I think, is also in there. Zippers, bias tape, ribbon, and then some cording, things like that. Like long stringy things is how I define that. Elastic of all different varieties. And yeah, that is it for this first drawer. These containers are from IKEA. I'm clearly a big fan of IKEA. This actually goes with a set of furniture that my mom made for me when it was for my nursery actually. I think she hunted down all of these knobs and switched them out. Oh yeah, there's stenciling. And then the insides have Disney baby contact paper at the bottom that has been there for about 30 years, but it's holding up. So here, this is buttons, as you can see. These are divided by theme. In this case, these are just like novelty buttons or color. Here are blue buttons. So I have these all divided up. These are actually from a breast pump. My insurance covered pumping supplies, so I ordered them for a couple months, but my daughter never took a bottle. So I got these and had sanitized them and stuff in expectation of needing to use them, but I never really ended up pumping because she never took a bottle. So now I have all of these great little storage bottles. Have them divided out, like I said, in ways that make sense to me, some that are already grouped by similar ones. I also have my snap pliers in here, snapping things, snap tape, which I should probably just throw away because I've used it once and hated it, but you never know when you're gonna need something, so that's in there. And then just some other things I got from my mom, overall buckles, D-rings, things like that. And then this little kit is for making fabric covered buttons. This drawer I reach into the most, which is why it's kind of like at the best level for when I'm sitting here sewing. I can reach over because it has thread. Also, I need to close this, but these are for basting. I'll use basting spray or safety pins when I baste. So those are in there. And then also these clips are to help contain your quilt when you're working on quilting it. So this is a little kind of kit I have for when I sew on the road or when I go somewhere with my sewing. Usually I am just sewing binding down if I'm taking something like that. So this smaller zip pouch in here is for threads. And then I have thread snips. This is currently the thread I'm using for the binding I'm sewing down, and then some needles. I I have quilt labels and fabric markers. This little guy, this bobbin buddy, is awesome. So my bobbins are in there. Yeah, clearly. Over here, I have thread. You can't tell because you can't see the side. It's organized by color in Broidy Biv order. It works. I would kind of like to find a way to store it so that you can see the colors a little better. Maybe I'll get a spool rack or something like that when we move. But for right now, this works just fine. Down here are bags for projects because I reuse them. And then some other projects that I have started and either completely abandoned or want to come back to. So this is a butterick dress I do want to come back to at some point. This is a project I completely abandoned, but I kind of keep all of the pieces together in hopes that inspiration will strike at some point. It kind of did. So these are scraps, large, like pre-quilted scraps from 2 quilts I've sewn. And the other day I was thinking about it. I made some zip pouches and I was like, oh, it would be kind of fun to use these, sew them together in some sort of funky way and use them to make zip pouches. So I will probably play around with that at some point. And that is why I keep things like this around, because at some point inspiration will strike. Oh, this is a onesie extender. Brady put that in there. And then the last 2 drawers are the most important. They are the Brady entertainment drawers. So these at one point had nicely folded fat quarters, large scraps, organized by color, everything you could want, beautiful to look at. And then my baby got into them and then I stopped caring. They give her joy. She comes in here, pulls out fabric, puts buttons in there, whatever. So these are purely for her entertainment. I do pull fat quarters and stuff from here when I need them, but I don't care about the organization. It is hers to do with what she wants. Okay, that is it for my sewing nook. Give you one last slow overview. And then my fabric storage in the other room. It works. It's pretty well organized. I have everything I need. I don't have a ton of stuff, so that obviously makes it easier to keep everything manageable. I also do keep the room pretty tidy because I have to, because it's also my bedroom and I don't want a huge mess all of the time in here. That is my sewing corner, nook, space, area, whatever. It goes by many names. I call it many things. But that is the area I'm working with. Really, the only big thing I would want to change is to have a better place for my cutting mat. To either have a smaller cutting mat or, yeah, have it be smaller so it could fit onto this portion of my desk maybe, or onto, I just a better cutting space. I don't like that it bleeds that far into our bedroom area of the bedroom onto our dresser, stuff like that. I would have liked to keep this corner a little more self-contained. So that is probably the biggest thing I would want to change. I could not think of a better solution, especially because I already had that cutting mat. So yeah, I don't know what would have been better. That is, I think, really the only thing I would truly want to change. Oh, trash can. I should probably get like a smaller, more normal trash can instead of a giant trash bag. But like I said, I don't have to empty it that often, which is pretty nice. Oh, also, I wish it didn't have to be in my bedroom, but this was the house that worked for us for this short time in San Antonio. And we have made it work to the best of our ability to include multifunctional spaces like this. It goes to show that you can make things work and work well. I don't walk in here and be like, ugh, I have to move this around, or ugh, I have to reposition this. Like, I can walk in here and immediately start sewing. I can finish a project, tidy things up, and it doesn't bother me. I don't walk in and go like, oh man, there's stuff everywhere, because it's annoying to put away or something like that. It just is a really functional space, which is exactly what I needed it to be. And I have enjoyed it for the time that we've been here since I moved from the dining room. It has worked for me, but I am very much looking forward to an actual sewing room. Thank you so much for joining me today for this little peek into my sewing space. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button and leave a comment down below what your favorite or least favorite part of this space is. I'm definitely going to be looking to incorporate some improvements when I set up my sewing room in our next house. I hope you're having a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and I will see you on Friday for Friday Sews. Bye, everyone.